Hey everyone, welcome back to Roll Radio. I'm your host Sinkus, and today I'm joined by Q. Q is the co-host of NFC Live, Layer One podcast, and the creator of LADZ. Q, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be on this side of the camera for once, and I appreciate what you're doing for the social token space.
Absolutely, awesome, and yeah, thanks for coming. So before we jump into it, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your background, your upbringing, that sort of stuff. So if you want to take it away.
Yeah, I'll go through it really quickly. I'm a military kid, a military brat, if you will. I was born in San Diego, California, moved around a ton growing up, made my way to New Orleans, Hawaii, ended up in Virginia. So that move and that kind of, I guess, transient lifestyle led me to kind of take in a lot of different cultures. And I think it got me prepared to kind of accept new things. It definitely has its downsides, don't get me wrong, but I was transient my entire life, so I was able to view ways that people did things and understand that maybe most of the time it's in our minds, in our culture, what the right things are. So that kind of, I think, indirectly led me to kind of be open to the opportunity of crypto when it arrived. I think it led me to question a lot of the things that we do in our financial institutions and all these different things. So I like to say that kind of helped out. I had awesome parents. They kept me on the right path. They weren't necessarily like military dictators or anything like that, but they definitely kept me on the right path. I went to college, incidentally, for nothing related to finance. I was in kinesiology. I really wanted to be a personal trainer. I wanted to get into coaching and all these different things. So I was a lacrosse player growing up, and really that was where I saw myself. I wanted to coach. I loved being around young people. I loved being around team building, which is a lot of what I do now when it comes to business. Um, but when I decided I wanted to get into coaching, I just really had to go in that grind of being an assistant coach, a volunteer assistant coach. That is a grind that does not get paid a ton of money. It's for the love of the game. They often say so. Lacrosse coaching in college, I made my way there, and when I was there, I basically got hit up by my buddy in, I believe, 2016, and that's the typical story, right? Your buddy tells you, "Hey, what about this Bitcoin? What about this Ethereum? I'm into this. Are you into this?" And that's kind of how I got my first interaction with Bitcoin and Ethereum, way back in the day when I believe only three assets: Ethereum, Bitcoin, and maybe ETH Classic were the top three. I can't remember exactly, but that's kind of my background there. Just kind of moving my way into coaching post college, after getting that kinesiology degree, and then somehow finding crypto.
Mhm. Awesome, very interesting story. And from coaching to crypto, and now you do podcasts as well. And I was always curious: did you first get into podcasting and then into crypto? So you decided to kind of like talk about that on your podcast, or did you first get in crypto and you thought, "Hey, that's cool. Let's do a podcast about it."
Yeah, I always like hearing from other people. So it's kind of weird being on this side of the camera and kind of answering questions from others, and just kind of being on this hot seat here. But I was never in podcasting officially. Me and my buddy would have like sessions where we would just record ourselves and then listen back to it. Like we would never put it publicly, and it would be about random things. It wouldn't have any specific topic. So I always knew I wanted to do that, I believe. And I never was in podcasting before I started the Layer One podcast. So just to step back a few, my buddy who got me into crypto, him and his brother founded a company called ICO Alert back in 2017. So for about a year, we were investing in crypto. We kind of were really kind of heavily involved in that run up of different altcoins and alt season in mid 2017 all the way through the end of 2018. And ICO Alert was basically a advertising company for different ICOs. I don't know. Were you in crypto around that time?
Not so much around that
Okay.
2017. Yeah.
Got it. Well, basically, TLDR, all of these ICOs are raising a ton of money, and they use these ICO websites, some of which still exist today, right? ICO Drops, ICO Bench was one of our big competitors. And we just were, we founded the company, or they founded the company. I was the first hire. So I was working part time while coaching lacrosse with them. And really, I believe mid 2017 to in fall timeframe, they were like, "Hey, you need to come here full time because the work is just too much. You got to come here full time. I was the first hire, and by I believe the start in January of 2018, maybe a little bit even before, we were up to like 10 full time employees out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Like we were just gangbusters, man. And then the ICO market just dropped out of the bottom of that. So there were some content pieces that we did there at ICO Alert. So I think that was my first time doing content in crypto, but it wasn't my full time job. I was like way more into the sales aspect. And then post ICO alert, so the market completely bottomed, company completely obviously closed up shop, and me and a couple of buddies started a node infrastructure company, primarily on a network called IOST. They do proof of stake systems where obviously people who are staking to you, you're getting the rewards, you're paying them back in rewards, and it pays to get your name out there. It really pays to get your name out there. So we started the IOST podcast, and that's the origin story almost of the Layer One podcast, because eventually we kind of capped out the IOST market. You know, it never kind of became what we thought it would, and we were like, hey, we need to switch this up. So we called it the Layer One podcast in late 2019.
Hmm. Awesome. Player One podcast. You're also now the co-host of NFT Live, and I think you mentioned a few other podcasts when we first talked, and kind of like I feel like they all fit together and they create what you've dubbed the Lads City, and your
Mm-hmm.
social money also fits in that picture, which we'll discuss about in a bit. Do you want to kind of like in brief talk about the podcast you're a part of, or kind of like the Lad City and what it means?
Yeah, definitely. So at some point post that node infrastructure company, basically I was like, hey, I really enjoy this content creation. Let me try to just do this full time. Let me try to really attack this and see if I can like basically complete the arduous task of actually paying yourself as a creator on YouTube or something like that. And so I went full blast. I started to, have people on twice a week instead of once a week. I started NFT Live, I believe, late April of last year. So kind of before NFTs were definitely a thing. Always been a fan of NFTs, by the way. CryptoKitties in the ICO Alert office was a big hit back in 2017. So I just started creating different shows. So I loved interviewing guys like Sinkus, who I had on, or sorry, Sinkus, Sid, who I had on from Roll, I believe, like 6 months ago. And I just loved interviewing founders because they had such interesting stories. I loved getting to the bottom and helping people understand what the project was all about and asking those nugget questions that you get in your research. So I just started creating all these different shows. I had a buddy who was creating shows with me. He would do TA on Tuesdays and Fridays. I would do the Layer One podcast twice a week, and then added NFT Live. So it was just this network of content that was consistently growing. And that's kind of the origin story of Lads in Lad City. At the time, it was mainly Layer One, and we rebranded to this Lad City that you're talking about. And then after the interview with Sid, we got into the Lads token, which I'm sure we'll get into. But basically, Lads right now, as it exists, is a content network, and the Lads token is a social utility token that powers that content network. So it's really like for those that are uninitiated, it's like a YouTube channel with a token.
Hmm. Awesome. And starting to get a little bit into the lad stock, and lads as your social money. I was gonna ask what led you to issue your social money, and the idea was to ask you whether did it start as something to empower Lad City to enable it, or did it start as something else which later transformed, as you discussed, as you talked about, into what you now call Lad City.
Yeah, I guess when you say that out loud, the second one sounds a little bit more realistic. I would love to say I had all of these plans, and we executed checkpoint, checkpoint, checkpoint down that list, and then it became what it is today. But really, I think we're all experimenting in social tokens right now, man. Like really, if anybody comes out and says they know what they're doing in social tokens, although we have a lot of smart people that are in this niche industry right now, I think that everyone is still trying to figure it out. So when I first created it, it was basically having that interview with Sid and then talking and doing my natural kind of 30-minute discussion that I get into with interesting guests afterwards. And then, the more he was talking, the more I was like, yep, this is it. This is it. The rails might not be there, which
Yeah.
I still think that there's not a lot of there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Let's just put it that way. But basically, in that interview with Sid, I was like, man, value capture in the creator economy as this continues to grow is the way forward. So really appreciated his talk there, and then it just became, hey, let's do this thing. So I we launched it. We didn't have there was no price associated. There wasn't anything like that. It was just rewards for showing up to our live streams, and that's how it started. And it's consistently grown from there.
Hmm. Yeah, and a few months ago, if I recall correctly, I witnessed a dope moment where you did a transition from a YouTube show to your Discord, and you did this thing where you
Yeah.
did a phrase drop where people had to type a specific phrase in the Discord chat, and they'd get rewarded lads if they did that. And the community response there was great. They were going frenzy in the chat, and I was curious to know what was kind of like the community response in general been like to lads and your token.
Yeah, the awesome thing about LADZ in our community is that it existed before the token had a value. I think that's the main like thing that I would put to any creator that's looking to get into NFTs, into social tokens. It's really about just creating that organic connection. Because if you make a connection based on any monetary value, whether it be an NFT or whether it be some type of social token, I think there's a little bit of a hinge of how do I put this? It's more real, in my opinion, when you start it and just don't have any monetary value associated with something. So the community response was great because in the same way that Uniswap did that retroactive airdrop, you were providing a service, you were creating and upgrading your platform or upgrading your content and having this really cool connection organically without any expectation of a return,
Hmm.
and that's where the realness comes in. And so when we added the token and people started to earn just a token, a valueless token, it was awesome. And then where we are now, it's even greater because a lot of those people are still here, and it's a really cool opportunity for someone to come in and learn about social tokens, to just come into our Discord and interact with people who have been there for years, sometimes even longer than me. We've got OGs in Lad City.
Awesome. Yeah, always fun to hang around those kinds of people because they understand the space. I feel a little bit better. And small parenthesis question here: why lads? I mean, I get it; it's a very catchy name and it's something that you wanna kind of like be part of. But what was there a particular reason behind the name?
Again, it was very I would love to give a great answer to this question, but it was just experimenting at the time. So I think officially, let's just put it on record, this is the myth of lads. It was basically a playoff Chaz, which was, I believe, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle. I don't know if you saw that in Seattle, Washington. There was this area that was completely autonomous, and it was just a bunch of people there, and they closed off the borders. They called it Chaz. And we were just up late one night and we called it, and my buddy just basically was like, what if we call it LADZ, a layer one autonomous digital zone? And it isn't that, right. I don't think like we're gonna officially go with that in our lore, but it's a cool story to tell. So LAD's really, at the root of it, it is what it is right now. I don't think it has any kind of play on something we were trying to accomplish with the name. So I will say we are seeing more Lad City talk, right. I think there's a ton of people who would look at lads and say, wow, that's kind of masculine. That's you're kind of excluding women here, which is something we're definitely conscious of when it comes to that name. So I loved Jess Sloss, his tweet the other, I believe, week, where he was saying that a lot of these social token communities are representative of what cities looked like in early 1900s, where they're just growing. There's investment opportunities, although nothing we're saying is investment advice. There's just this feeling that you're creating a community, much like I think you saw in early towns and early cities back then.
Awesome. And what is like being from a community perspective? What's like being a member of the lad city you're building? What's like holding lads? What are some of the benefits or of the perks? Not of holding lads necessarily, but being a member of that community and being in the Discord. as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to keep it really simple, we have three main ranks and one auxiliary rank. So we have Nomad. So you come in, and we're really focused on the lore going forward because we want to do cool things with NFTs. We have a bunch of different members that are building essentially LAD City in different metaverses. So we're really conscious of our lore, and part of that lore is the members of LAD City. And so you come in, you're a Nomad, you hold one LAD. And then as you go forward, Guardian is going to get you access to more things in the city. Noble is going to get you access to rewards as well as kind of a membership in this pseudo DAO that we're starting to create. I love all of the improvements that DAOs are starting to make. I love the rails that are being laid there. We definitely are headed in that direction, of course. So basically, it works like that. You come into the city, you're a nomad, you're a noob essentially, and then Guardian is going to get you, and you have to hold a certain amount of lads to get Guardian. Guardian's going to get you access to the content. So, for example, we have Lads Poker that happens every Friday and Saturday. Friday is completely open to the public.
Mhm.
Saturday, you need to be a Guardian and above. So that is the way we're headed with a lot of our content. So there might be exclusive content, right, going forward. There's already exclusive channels in the Discord that only Guardians and above can have access to. And then Nobles really get you access to our rewards. So via our content, we're able to kind of pull in a lot of NFT projects that would like to drop things to the community. So we say, hey, who are the most loyal, who are the most skin in the game users in Lad City? Those are the nobles. They're the ones that are going to get most of these drops.
Awesome.
And then miners are the auxiliary rank. They act as pseudo nobles, but they also get those mining rewards and such.
Awesome. So you talk about kind of like a tiered structure where the more lads you hold, the more access to different kind of like benefits you get.
Yeah, tokenized access, I think, is the terminology there. It's
Mhm.
definitely the hot keyword when it comes to what social tokens allow you to do. NFTs do the same thing, in my opinion, but I think social tokens offer a lot more, I guess, fluidity and just a lot more complex actions can be done with social tokens, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But it's harder to create for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And let's do a quick kind of like lads airdrop so more people can join the lad city and become nomads in your Discord server. So for everyone watching this on YouTube, there'll be a QR code right about here, probably. So just scan it with your phone and you'll be taken to the role platform. You'll just have the ability to claim some lads that Q will send us from here. If you have a role account, you just sign in, you claim the earn code. If you do not have one, just create one on the spot and claim the link afterwards. And then head over to Discord. It's if I recall correctly, it's discord.com/invite/lads city, lads with a Z, with a Z. So yeah, if you have the social money, you join in, you authorize your role wallet, and you get the nomad role, so you get some access. But if you want to get deeper into it, just get some more lads, earn some more lads, or buy it from Uniswap, and you get more access there. And
Yeah. Yeah, I
speak,
want to speak on one thing. Other than the fact that all of those actions that you just described are some of the reasons why social tokens aren't going to be popular till like 2022, right? Like you have to do this and then this and then this and then halfway through that they're like, "What is going on?" So definitely really cool. But I think there's an awesome debate that can be had with tokenized access, and we definitely are on one side of the fence when it comes to not gating our community completely. So if you guys do get the one lad that was on that QR code right there by Syncus, you can come into our city and basically experience a lot of what guardians get to have access to, and we did that consciously. We want people to come in and actually be able to experience everything, the vibe, as we say in our city. And you can come in with that one lad and you can start interacting with us completely, so please do so.
awesome. Yeah, it's all about inclusivity as well. I mean, it's nice to have exclusive content, but at the same time, you need more people to get interested, more people to join in your community and kind of like expand there. Awesome. And speaking of which, what are some ways that people can earn lads outside of buying it or from just the airdrops that you do left and right?
Absolutely. If you are interested in a cross project social token community and you kind of head into the city and start interacting with the lads, you'll quickly realize that you can come in and add whatever value that you can add. So we've had a ton of different people come in. One guy was really good logistically, so he helps set up our guests. One guy is good at editing podcasts, so he helps edit our podcast. I mentioned the people who are building the metaverse. We've got moderators, of course, in our Discord. So all of these people started as nomads, right? They started as, what's going on here? And then they joined the Discord, and then they got to know the lads in the lads community, and then they started to say, okay, I can help in this area. So if you can help in that area, we are all for, people coming in and trying to experience what we've got going on, and then saying, okay, this can be improved. And we've done grants up to 5,000 lads each every month. We've done one-off grants, I guess not official monthly grants, right? In smaller amounts. You can come in and to the live streams and earn lads there. There's a lot of different things that you can do to earn lads going forward, and that's what we want to do. Like that is the key, right? Because people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and they want to be compensated fairly. And when I say compensated, obviously there's all these different regulatory concerns around social tokens that still need to be, clearly laid out for other people kind of going forward, even the OGs. But I think you see that in the social token community. You see fair compensation for work put in, and that's what people want to be a part of, man.
Hmm. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I've seen that with other communities enroll as well. You get kind of like this DAO-ish structure where the community itself kind of like helps moderate it, build it, do custom content, graphics, whatever, and they get
Yes.
compensated or rewarded, if you like, with the social token of each creator. So that's really dope to see. Awesome. Another thing I'd like to touch on is the LADZ market on Uniswap. You have created a liquidity pool on Uniswap. It's about a little over $400,000, which is a considerable amount for social money. And I know a lot of creators are thinking about creating their own liquidity pool. Some of them have just issued their token, or other creators are being onboarded as we speak, and they're really looking forward to start their kind of like social money journey and create a liquidity market on Uniswap. And a lot of them are kind of like thinking about the pros and cons. And I think it would be very beneficial hearing from another creator. Yeah, it's a tough one, but in your own words, like what was your thinking on that front? Like, did you want to make lads more accessible? Did you want to kind of like give it monetary value so people could cash out if they wanted to? What was kind of like the thought process there?
Yeah, I'll first start off by saying it's not easy, and there's a lot of things that come with that actual process, or basically what occurs after that process. There's a lot of psychological things that start happening that weren't there before that actual action. So the thought process was we were mature enough as a social token community that we could go about this process, right? So we launched the token, I believe, in mid June, mid June to July, and we basically existed for 6 7 months without any type of value or anything like that. So we felt like we had done what needed to be done from the effect of saying people were earning these rewards without any expectation that there would be any sort of value at the end of the day. So, if for people that are looking into this, I think it is a natural progression.
Mhm.
It definitely is. I would caution those who don't have the mental. You have to be ready to do this for years. You cannot be kind of like saying, "Hey, I want to try this," and I guess I should step back here. If you can always launch a social token and it never have any value. Let's kind of put that on the table, right? So if you want to do that, go ahead and experiment. That's completely fine. That is what we did. But if you're looking specifically at Uniswap or liquidity pools, you have to be ready to do this for years. And you have to ask yourself the question, is it easier for me to just go the route of NFTs? I think we mentioned that earlier. NFTs are easier for content creators right now, man. Like
Mhm.
when that NFT cycle started to happen 2 or 3 months ago, it was very clear that you could start a community and reward and have the value capture there for NFTs without going through the process of the social tokens. The thing is, it's not as complex, it's not as deep
Mhm.
as you can get with social tokens when you have, you know, the, I don't want to get I skirt around this, right? But money is used as an incentive for human coordination, and NFTs are can do that, but social tokens can do that in a way bigger scale, and that's what we've seen. So I would just caution people to make sure that you understand what you're getting into. I that probably answered your question, but maybe a more direct maybe a more direct question that I can get an answer to, as far as like anything they might have problems with. Is that kind of, did I kind of answer that correctly?
Yeah, I think the information you gave kind of like is very insightful to creators, knowing that it's not as easy as it looks like. I know for a fact that if you are just an external viewer and you're noticing all these communities pop up and have thousands of dollars worth of liquidity or millions, it seems easy on the outside, but it's not at all. And I think it's very helpful if they hear that from a creator rather than myself or someone else.
Mm. Yeah,
So.
yeah. Whale spoke about this in one of the clubhouses, and when Clubhouse was popping off, everybody had to be in Clubhouse, and everyone had to host a Clubhouse. Man, those were the days. But Whale was talking about social tokens being multidisciplinary, and I think that's the perfect way to put it. When something is multidisciplinary, it's extremely complex. So if it's just you and another member, or you got a small team, you better make sure that you have the experience or the advisors, or you have people coming in
Mhm.
that know what they're doing, because it is extremely multidisciplinary.
Mhm, absolutely. And taking a step back a little bit and kind of like seeing the bigger picture, as a content creator yourself, what aspects of social money make it an attractive tool? And do you believe that, in your opinion, if social money will become an important or even necessary tool in the creator economy in the future?
Yeah, I think NFTs took a little bit of the spotlight, because you had the creators come in. You saw Blau do this, by the way. You saw many different content creators do what you can do with social tokens. Whereas, you're capturing value for yourself, you're capturing value for some of your community members or anyone that's looking to purchase the NFT. The value capture's there. Again, it's not as deep as social money, but the value capture's there. But just TLDR here, the conversation I had with Sid was, hey, this is going to be the future, right? This is going to be the future where someone who is both a fan and the creator is able to capture the value that they create, and that is the basic thesis, right? And that 100% will happen in the future, and the rails need to be, put in place. A lot of the people are doing great work right now, in our industry, in our niche industry here. But the thought process for me was, you have the creator who, in my opinion, so I'm going to use a musical artist right here. I loved Mac Miller. I loved J. Cole growing up, so I'll use J. Cole.
Mhm.
You could have someone in be an artist and work their whole lives and not get to J. Cole's status of being the top 1%, and therefore not capture the value fully of what they created. Or you can work within the music industry, and you could get essentially taken advantage of by a lot of the music labels and all these different things. That's well documented. The part that I was more interested in was the fans of J. Cole and the fans of Mac Miller. I felt like you were listening to Mac and you were listening to Cole while you were in your parents' basement. That was kind of the time period that I got introduced to them. And some people are still in the basement. Some people are still there, kind of, grinding away at life, if you will. And uh, you see the trend of the creator. Mac is becoming more famous, while the person who propped them up early on, listening to them in their basement, showing them to their friends, there is no value capture there for them. And that was the big thing for me was, okay, the creator can capture some value, yeah, but it's really about the people who are following, are powering what the creator is able to do in getting to those heights, man. I think that it's often talked about. You see it at the end of videos, the end of podcasts like this. I couldn't have done it without my fans. Well, that's cool, but to me, it's kind of like a valueless platitude,
Mhm.
when it comes to things that we can do now, because that person who helped you early on deserves to, capture some of that value along with the creator themselves. And I that's my thesis there. That's what, when Sid was talking about this movement, that's what I was honing in on, is the
Mhm.
value capture for the actual consumer.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I'm really looking forward to see kind of like a space in 5 or in 10 years time, which in crypto it's like million years away. But yeah, really looking forward to that and seeing more of that value capture being kind of like directed towards the community rather than the creators alone. Awesome. And what's next for you and the Lad City?
Yeah, so we have some things, I guess, in the works here for the next month. We've got Salt and Satoshi, which is, I wouldn't call them a competitor to MetaFactory, but they're attacking the digiphysical goods. So we had our recent NFT sale with a company called Drippies, where we were able to do this LADZ themed NFT. That sold out. That did really well. So we're really moving into this NFT space. So we're going to work with Salt and Satoshi to do an NFT themed digiphysical drop. We're going to do a lot of things for people who are earning our NFTs. We're moving into that DAO format. We're moving into that treasury format. So nobles, as they exist right now, have voted on multiple proposals. One to increase the threshold for different ranks, one to do an airdrop, one to get us on Polygon, which we just launched on. So we're on some Polygon pools, and there's some APYs there. Not investment advice, but we're basically transitioning those nobles into a formalized DAO setup where we're using tools like Snapshot, and we can actually get that organization around a treasury. So we bring in funds from the content network that we have, the NFT sales that we create, and then the DAO actually votes on how that treasury funds will be used for the network.
Awesome. And where can one find out more about you, Lad City, and how can one join it? What are
Yeah, so simple and easy. Lads.city is going to take you directly to our Discord, and that's where you want to go if you want to be involved and see all of the awesome people in our community. I mean, the power of Lad City is all of the awesome individuals. It's not me. I love being up here and I love talking to you, but once you go into the city, you quickly realize that it's not Nifty Q that's in there all the time. And I am there. Don't get me wrong, I'm there all the time, but it's Crypto Buffalo, it's Ronan the Collector, it's Hash Rhymes, it's Llama, it's Carrots, it's all these different people that are just getting after it and providing a lot of value to each other. I think, one of my co-hosts and co-founders, he loves to talk about how his journey in crypto was super lonely at first. It wasn't necessarily for me, so I almost like glossed this over when I'm thinking about creating communities. But for a lot of people in crypto, it's just them for a long time. They're like trying to explain it to their friends, they don't really get it, and they're just there kind of grinding away. Well, this is our vibe and our tribe, and our tribe is growing with people who have that experience, but also brand new people that just want to be part of a community in crypto, and that's how we're growing. So lads.city, LADZ.city is going to take you directly to the Discord. You can find us on YouTube as well. So those are our primary hubs that we're getting into here. So you just type in lads space city in YouTube and you'll find us there.
awesome. Awesome. And to wrap things up on a fun note, I have a super random question to which there's no right answer.
Oh
Do you
no.
want to hear it?
Go ahead.
All right. So, if you were a motorcycle, what kind of motorcycle would you be and why?
I just don't know motorcycle brands. That's my biggest thing.
Run kind of like a kind of motorcycle, like a super sport, a buggy, kind of like a chopper.
I like those matte black. God, name me some brand. I know exactly what I would be. Oh God, I don't know the brand, man. I guess it would be more chopper related, not the super. Not
Yeah.
the super speed bikes. It would be more like chopper related, but kind of a mix between the two.
Mhm.
That would be me.
Awesome. Well, Zach, thank you so much for stopping by Roll Radio. It was very nice to get to talk to you and roll on.
Sinkus, I appreciate it, man. Our vibe, our tribe.